It began with the sound of water. A gentle, distant drip, like the slow bleeding of the earth itself. And when the girl named Lena Mercer heard it, her breath caught, her fingers numb with cold, she knew, without understanding how, that something in the forest was alive beneath her feet. Lena had been lost for 3 days. The trees of Redwater Forest loomed black above her, their bark slick with moss, their branches tangled into choking nets that blocked the sun, reducing the daylight to little more than a gray bruise. Her shoes were ruined. Her lips cracked and bleeding. She had eaten pine needles to keep the gnawing emptiness at bay. And always, there was the sound, drip. 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 On the morning of the 4th day, she found the river. But it wasn't a river. Not truly. The water was black. Thick and glistening like oil, or blood gone stale in the veins. It didn't move the way water should, it twitched. It shivered. It breathed. And from its inky depths rose the sound that had haunted her steps, drip. 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 The water wept from the trees, seeped from the stones. It pooled in ancient channels that the forest had hidden for centuries. Something about it, its wrongness, called to her. And despite every instinct that screamed to run, Lena stepped closer. Her reflection in the black surface was warped, her eyes too wide, her mouth too long, her face flickering between her own and something else. The wind shifted. And she heard the voice, drink. She stumbled back, hands trembling. No, she rasped, her voice cracked. No, but the hunger, the ache in her stomach, the thirst that burned her throat, drove her onward. And the black water, it called. Drink. The first sip was cold. The second burned. The third. The third was ecstasy. She didn't remember falling. Didn't remember the scream that tore from her lips as the cold slid into her veins like liquid knives. But she remembered the visions, the forest alive, its roots, teeth and veins. The trees watching, their trunks eyeless faces. The ground splitting, revealing endless layers of flesh beneath the moss. And she saw the cave. Far ahead. Hidden beyond the dark river. A mouth in the land. A wound. A gate. When she awoke, the sun was gone. The forest around her was different, too still, too quiet. The wind had died. The air smelled of meat left too long in the sun. And when she looked at her hands, her fingertips were black. Her veins, beneath thin, feverish skin, were spreading with the same inky darkness. Her eyes. She could feel them. Changing. The cave was ahead. And she walked toward it. The first thing Lena noticed when she awoke was the absence of sound. No birds. No insects. Not even the whisper of the wind through the trees. The forest had become still, as though it were holding its breath. Her veins still throbbed with black liquid. Her skin burned. Her heartbeat, if it still belonged to her, raced wildly. And her vision, at first, she thought she'd gone blind. But no. The world had taken on a washed-out pallor. The trees were gray bones. The sky a flat smear. Only the shadows, the terrible, hungry shadows, moved. And her eyes. Her fingertips brushed her cheeks. Her sockets. She could feel the fever heat behind them. The unnatural smoothness. She stumbled to the edge of a still pool. The reflection that greeted her was not her own. White eyes. Pale veins webbing her cheeks. Something twitching in the back of her throat like a living worm. She screamed. And the forest answered. They came first as whispers. Then as faces, tall, crooked figures rising from the fog between the trees. All of them wrong. All of them white-eyed. She recognized some of them, vaguely. Faces from missing posters she'd seen in town. Faces of hikers who'd vanished over decades. Now they stood, swaying gently, their skin stretched and gray, their mouths frozen in silent howls of agony. And their eyes, oh God, their eyes, were as white and empty as her own. They reached for her. And somewhere deep inside, something old and vicious began to wake. Lena fled. Her mind, what remained of it, screamed for escape. Her legs burned, her vision blurred. But always the drip 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 in her ears. Always the taste of black water in her mouth. And the knowledge that the cave, that mouth in the earth, waited ahead. The entrance yawned before her like the gullet of some enormous beast, a rough, uneven hole in the hillside, its edges slick with moss and something darker. The black river flowed into it, vanishing into depths unlit by any earthly sun. The pull on Lena's body was no longer something she could resist. Her legs moved of their own accord. Her breath came ragged. The white-eyed dead stood behind her, swaying. Not chasing. Not stopping her. Because they knew. They belonged to the thing below. And soon, so would she. Inside, the walls pulsed like wet flesh. The air was thick and humid, stinking of old blood and decay. The deeper she went, the louder the sound, drip. 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 But it wasn't water. Not anymore. The visions returned. She saw bones, countless bones, woven into the stone itself. Skulls that grinned from the walls, their jaws unhinged in silent ecstasy. She saw hands. Faces. Whole bodies petrified in grotesque agony, their eyes forever white, their mouths open in voiceless screams. And she saw herself, reflected in slick stone, her features no longer fully human. Her teeth were sharpening. Her veins had gone black. And her eyes glowed. And then she heard it, the heartbeat. Slow. Ancient. The sound of something immense breathing in the dark. She had reached the chamber of teeth. And it was awake. The walls writhed. The floor, slick with congealed black fluid, shifted like muscle under skin. At the heart of the chamber, half buried in glistening stone, was a thing so vast, so impossible, Lena's mind fractured just looking at it. A ribcage the size of a cathedral. Limbs like twisted tree roots. A mouth that spanned from one wall to the next. Lined with countless jagged teeth, each the size of a coffin. The thing was alive. But asleep. For now. And then the voices began, we are hunger. We are the mouth. We are the end beneath the skin. Lena fell to her knees, sobbing. Her hands, it was worse now, her bones were shifting beneath her skin. Her teeth ached as they sharpened to points. Her spine cracked. The thing beneath the cave, the ancient god, was remaking her. Piece by piece. Out of the dark, shapes emerged. The white-eyed ones. Dozens. Hundreds. Their bodies bloated, twisted, corrupted. And each one fell to their knees before the mouth of teeth, their bodies trembling in shared, mindless devotion. Lena screamed as her flesh split, bones pushing through her hands like white daggers. Her vision burned white. Her heart stopped. And the voice, oh God, the voice, filled her mind, child of the hollow. Child of the deep. Rise. Lena's body broke. She felt her ribs shatter. Her skin slew away in wet sheets. Her hands became claws. Her mouth split too wide. And her eyes, they burned with lightless fire. The black river rose around her ankles. Then her knees. Then her chest. She was sinking into it. Or perhaps it was entering her. Visions flickered, she saw worlds collapsing. Cities swallowed by forests of bone. Skies burning with white flame. She saw herself walking among the ruins, her eyes empty, her skin pale, her teeth dripping black. And always, beneath everything, the terrible, infinite hunger. Her name was forgotten. Her memories, gone. There was only the mouth. The hunger. The call. And then, footsteps. A man, a stranger, ragged and hollow-eyed, appeared at the chamber's edge. He carried a shard of mirrored glass. The last piece of the world before. And when his eyes met Lena's, when he saw what she had become, he wept. But he raised the shard. And with a shout of agony, he drove it into the heart of the mouth. The world shattered. The chamber collapsed inward. The mouth screamed, an endless, world-ending sound that tore flesh from bone. The white-eyed ones burned, their bodies dissolving into ash and bile. Lena, no longer fully Lena, was thrown backward, her body split open by the force. And for one terrible instant, she saw through it. Saw the thing behind the thing. Saw the black sun. The coiling godflesh that wound through every world. The teeth that circled the void. And then, darkness. When she awoke, she was lying at the edge of the forest. The sky was pale. The air still. And when she opened her eyes, they were still white. The cave was gone. The river vanished. But the hunger remained. Buried inside her. Waiting. Some doors don't close. Some wounds don't heal. And some hungers never die.